So it's an instrument that was invented by one Bartholomew Cristofori. The name sounds pretty Ghanaian. Now, it is made up of white keys and black keys. It's a very technical instrument. A lot of people start to play and they give up because of its complexity. However, some people start and they scale through so easily. Now, I'm talking about the piano. Others call it the keyboard. Others call it the organ. We're going to look at the differences between the piano, the organ, and the keyboard. Okay? So today we are demystifying the keyboard. Stay tuned. Today I have in the studio a very fine gentleman by name Nene Emmanuels. Nene, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good. So, tell us about yourself.
Well, my full name is actually Jesse Jerry Nene Ofochu Emmanuels.
Jesse Jerry Ofochu.
Nene Ofochu Emmanuels.
Okay.
But I realized that my name has a lot of foreign names in there, so I rather went with the local one, which is Nene Emmanuels.
Right. Yeah. So, you play the keyboard?
Yes, I do.
So, do you play the keyboard or the piano or the organ?
Well, I play a bit of all the three characteristics of the keyboard.
But before that, what's the difference between the keyboard, the piano, and the organ? What are the features?
Well, an old man said to me that the piano is the female because most of the time its touch is very gentle.
Okay.
And it sounds sweet when you hear it. The organ is the male. It tends to roar. Because when you hear the church organ, Abide With Me sounds very majestic. When you hear it from the pipes,
okay,
it sounds like somebody is roaring. And then the keyboard gives you a bit of everything else, because the keyboard is embedded all the instruments. You have saxophone, guitar, even drums on the keyboard. So with the keyboard you can solo, you can play just single notes, solo the saxophone on it, or guitar, or violin, viola, whichever instrument you want to do.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. How did playing the keyboard start for you?
Well, it's very strange. I didn't start from childhood.
Okay.
My grandfather was trained by missionaries.
Okay.
In his days, so he played virtually all the instruments.
Wow.
And I feel that he was the best accordion player in Ghana, because the accordion had or has a lot of keys on the left.
Okay.
Seems like plenty tiny notes.
Right.
And my grandfather was the only one who could play it so well. And so I grew up watching him play. So somewhere around year 2001, when I completed secondary school, I felt a strange desire.
Okay.
A strange desire to learn the keyboard.
Okay.
From nowhere. So I started doing my investigations and then started trying to learn.
So where was the inspiration coming from? From your grandfather?
Well, I enjoyed my grandfather, but I think that the inspiration came out of nowhere. Because suddenly I was so interested in playing the keyboard. I just wanted to know how to play by all means necessary.
Did you study music whilst you were in school?
No. Rather, I was made the music director for, I think, in my senior year. I was made the music director because I was mostly singing at school rather than playing.
Okay,
so
that's fine. Okay, so how was it? Was it challenging, or did it just come to you naturally? Was it very challenging in learning to play the
Well, to be honest, it wasn't challenging for me. Maybe because it was in my bloodline because of my grandfather.
Right. So what's your style? What do you read scores, or you just play contemporary as?
So I started with contemporary, mostly because it was right after secondary school, and I didn't want to do music. I just wanted to know how to play the piano or the organ. So I had one of my grandfather's son, who is my uncle, gift me an organ, like the church organ, the double one with the wood.
Okay.
But it's an electronic one, not a pipe.
Okay.
So he gifted that to me, and I literally sat there and then practiced things by myself.
Okay. So if you say contemporary, what exactly do you mean by contemporary piano?
All right. So contemporary basically means playing music by ear.
What do you mean by playing music by ear?
So there is sight reading, those that read notes, the staff, the grand staff, and stuff like that, to play music. And then the contemporary is you learning about the notes, C to D or A to G, which are the 7 alphabets or 7 notes in music, learning about all of them without having to read score.
Okay.
So
And how easy or how difficult is that? Because I take a typical piano and I see about 88 or so keys.
Yes.
And how do you blend the various keys and be able to grasp all that to be able to play?
Well, I think it's quite simple because whoever invented it thought it through, because he disseminated it amongst alphabets. So he did 7 alphabets
Okay.
out of the, is it 23 or 24 alphabets, which is A to G.
Okay.
And A to G has its solfa notations,
Okay.
or the major scale.
Right.
So within the major scale of each key comes with other nuances
Okay.
to differentiate the different keys from each other.
Okay.
So A, the notation of A is different from B, and it's different from C, and they're all different from each other. So when you get to know the what's the right word? The chord formations, the notations, the major scales of each key, then it becomes easy.
Okay, now you're taking me to another level. Right, so if you say a chord, what is a chord?
Well, simply put, a chord is made up of 3 or more notes.
Okay. So those
Sometimes
alphabets,
it can be 2. Two is basically a duet, but then, these jazz players can hold just a 2-note chord, and it's a chord.
Okay.
So I would say 2 or more
Now,
notes.
one of the most difficult things that most keyboardists talk about is using the right hand to play something, whilst the left also plays another
thing.
What they call the hand independence. How is that achieved? Because a lot of people complain that they find it difficult blending the left hand and the right hand to create beautiful harmony. How is that achieved?
Strangely, this is something we do in our basic lives all the time. All the time. You might be writing something on your right hand and be pressing your phone, doing something different. Both hands are not doing it simultaneously.
Okay.
They are both doing different things at the same time.
Okay.
So it's achievable. It's just that you haven't really thought about it.
Okay.
So when you narrow your mind to the fact that, I'm now doing 2 different things at the same time, And when you become conscious of what you are doing, you feel it's difficult. So it's something you do all the time.
So it's practice, sort of.
So it's basically practice.
How can one become a very good keyboardist? Right, so we are still speaking to Nene Emmanuels. We'll take a break. We'll be back to demystify what a keyboard is. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are still here with Nene Emmanuels. Nene, so how can one be a very good keyboardist?
Well, it comes with time and dedication.
What do you mean by time and dedication?
So I'll use my experience as an example. I used to practice from 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. every
4
day.
a.m. to 11 a.m. That's for like 5 hours?
That's more than 5.
Okay.
Every day.
Every day?
Yes. For 3 months straight.
Really? Mm-hmm. You're kidding me? 4 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Strangely, when I started, my mother was yelling, "You're disturbing. You're disturbing." But
so
then,
what was driving you? What made you sit from 4 a.m. to 11 a.m.?
A very strange, burning desire. I just wanted to know how to play the keyboard by all means, any means necessary. I found it very beautiful.
Okay.
When I saw people play, it was very beautiful. And then I always admired my grandfather for playing organ and other instruments. So I think I've always had it in me, but I just never really, took a step of faith.
Okay.
Of trying
so
to
what would you
achieve
say
it.
to somebody who's learning to play the keyboard and yet struggling to play it?
Well, I'll just tell the person to just relax their minds. I mean, we are living in a global village now. Knowledge is disseminated abroad all over the internet. We have YouTube, we have Google, other platforms that you can learn music from.
Okay.
So I would encourage them to learn from the scratch and be patient.
Okay.
There are others that can learn very fast, others too that are very slow at learning, but then when they grasp the understanding, then it becomes easy. So I just tell them to just relax, take their time, and then practice.
Okay. So do you teach piano? What do you do for a living?
So I don't only teach piano, I teach other instruments as well, because learning piano opened my understanding to the wide spectrum of music. I realized that they're all connected.
Okay.
It's just notations and chord formations and here and there. So I started playing the guitar. Wind instruments, I don't know how to play them because I find it very difficult to blow the trumpet or saxophone. But the other instruments, the string instruments and the keyboards, I'm okay with them.
So you're going to play something very nice for us today. But before that, if somebody wants to reach you, somebody wants to engage you, how can the person reach you?
Well, I have my mobile numbers.
Okay, so can you give us your phone number?
Okay, so my phone number is 0245478468.
Can you go over it again?
It is 0245478468. And my email address is jjnene1984@gmail.com. jjnene1984@gmail.com.
So you heard it from Nene Emmanuels. He says that you need patience, you need discipline and dedication to learn to play the keyboard. So Nene is going to play for us something very nice as we end the show.